Bzzz, bzzz. That's right. That's the sound of a bee. This week, we've got Free Bee Pest Control LLC with Eric Long, and he's going to tell us all about how to get rid of those terrible pests, all those cockroaches, bees. No, they don't get rid of bees. We love bees, but they've got a great solution on how to relocate bees, and that actually is free. But any other pests, mice, ants, all sorts of critters and bugs. So come on in and let's hear about how we can get you pest-free today.
Welcome to the Dayton Approved Podcast with Frank O'Neill. This is where the local Dayton businesses get a spotlight.
Welcome to Dayton Approved, exploring Dayton small businesses and nonprofits with Dayton Discount Furniture. Today we have Eric Long with Free Bee Pest Control LLC. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm
good.
Enjoying this wonderful, wonderful Monday morning right after Easter.
Absolutely.
So I got my caffeine. I'm ready to go, and I can't wait to share your story and listen to everything you got to say.
Absolutely.
Well, I always like to start off with, dissecting, I guess you could say, the mission statement or whatnot. So I know that you've got a couple of cool points in your mission statement that we want to talk about. I know that basically it's to provide great service at an affordable price. But you did share with me that you had a nice little tagline about the pricing, and that is
don't be stung by higher prices.
Exactly. So why don't you tell us about how you get the affordable price going and make it so people don't get stung?
No, that's a great question. So besides offering, one-time services, we do offer discounts for seniors, first responders, military, police, all that good stuff. But everything is based, the jobs are very job specific. So what we do is, obviously we're going to price it a little different for a 90-year-old, 80-year-old woman on Social Security versus a 22-year-old kid. Right. Because of just the income discrepancy there, those elderly folks don't have the expendable income that other people do. So we try to be fair on a sliding scale with everybody. Yeah. We always provide a free inspection, free estimate, so they can at least get the information from us and get a price to kind of know where they're at and let them decide. Yeah. Which is nice because I know that a lot of other places out there, they'll kind of do the opposite, They'll might take advantage of a situation where, someone that is in need, and if it's an elderly person as an example, they might kind of flip-flop the philosophy that you guys try to do. And try to take advantage of them. And we always believe in leading with integrity and just showing people that quality service does still exist. One of my biggest fundamental philosophies, foundational philosophies with Free Bee, with the company is, number one, if you put your morals before your money, you'll never run out of either. Right. But if you get greedy and put your money ahead of your morals, you'll soon have neither. You'll run out of it because you'll become morally bankrupt. Now, don't mistake. We're definitely a for-profit company, and we are in business to make money, of course. Yeah. But I think the biggest reward, even above and beyond the money, is client satisfaction. That's the most important thing, because if you do that, look, we don't use contracts or anything, and we've had clients, they come back to us repeatedly just for that. Yeah. So I know that you said one of the things is you don't do contracts, and you're really focused on, look, here's the deal. This is what your need is. It could be a one-time job, but you're developing that relationship. You're taking care of the customer, and then I guess you could say, the philosophy is we're going to treat you right, give you a fair, honest price. If you need anything, anyone that needs anything, we hope to get your business in a referral. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's nice because I know a lot of these places, like you said, do want to do contracts, and they want to do this like never-ending, continuous, always going to come and see you. Yep. And I understand there's some situations like that where it's like you're going to have to, depending on what the certain situation is. But right.
that's probably not the case for most scenarios, I'm assuming.
No, absolutely. And the thing I've found with clients is like, and I don't even call them customers, and I'll tell you why. I know it sounds silly, but to me, the word customer, the word customer to me just implies monetary. It just implies that the only reason for our interaction is for exchange of products and services for money. Whereas a client is like, I look at myself as more of a pest advisor. I come in, I see the situation you're dealing with, and I may give you advice and even attach a price tag to it. But that doesn't mean that I'm coming at you with some hokey sales pitch trying to force you or obligate you into something you don't want, you don't need. Let's take care of the current situation you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then anything beyond that, I want to be the guy in your Rolodex that is like, I'm going to call Eric because I know he'll shoot me straight and he's not going to take advantage.
Right. Yeah. And the whole thing is you don't oversell.
No.
Essentially.
No.
That's just like completely against all your guys' philosophy
100%.
and mission statement in general. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's cool. And then I know you said you had another fundamental belief. You said there was two. So you told us the first one. Why don't you tell us about the second one?
Well, the second one is are you talking about the biblical one?
Yes.
Yeah. So the biblical one, this one is really near and dear to my heart. And I had a really good friend of mine who's in the service industry as well, and he's a good Christian guy. And he told me, he said, the one Bible verse that I really hold near and dear to my heart when dealing with people, it's Colossians 3-23. It basically says, paraphrasing, whatever work you do it with a happy heart as if you're serving the Lord your Father, not your mortal masters. So I hold that near and dear to my heart because every day I wake up is a gift, is a blessing, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful for that. And then I just want to get out there and try to be the best human being that I can for that given day. I try to block out everything else, but let's be the best human I can.
Yeah, of course. That's leave it better than we found it. It's always a good one too, and I always try to do that. It's funny because even if I'm at like McDonald's sitting there and I eat, I'm wiping my own table down. I'm like trying to be respectful. And
Absolutely.
It's amazing if everyone were to do that.
What a world we'd live in.
It would be so much, well-oiled is what I'd call it. Smoother, but hey, what do I know?
Yeah,
Just a guy that sells furniture.
Yeah, just a guy kills bugs.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit more about the whole freebie pest control ordeal. So, like, obviously, freebie, I mean, it sounds like you focus on essentially bees. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell us, like, what it is that you do? Do you do dabble with, like, all of the bees, or not all of it, all the pests? Or is it just, like, bees primarily is what you special in, or... Well, I guess let the audience know. Yeah,
that's a really good question. So the name Bee Pest Control came from years ago. I remember turning on the TV and you would always see and hear on the news about the rapid decline in the honeybee population.
Yeah, you still do, actually.
Oh, absolutely. And it's still an ongoing problem that everyone, including scientists, farmers, even your local pest control guys like me, we're all still currently working and trying to protect them. So our biggest thing, Bee Pest Control, no, it doesn't mean we kill bees for free. That would be terrible on several levels. But it means we try to set free the honeybees. It's like a play on words. We try to free the bees while doing other pest control, while getting rid of those, ants and spiders and roaches and the other undesirables that plague people's lives. We try to focus a lot of our energy on honeybees, the importance of them. We try to bring public knowledge and awareness of how validly important they are, because most people forget 80% of the food you put in your mouth has been pollinated and touched by a honeybee.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from.
Okay. So I guess, for me, I didn't know. When I first heard of you, I kind of thought, okay, so if I've got like a bee's nest in my barn, I'm going to call this guy, and he's going to get rid of it, and he's going to move it safely. I guess that's kind of where my mind went. Is that something you guys do, or is that...
That's a really good question. So us personally, we don't do the removal and rehoming of the honeybees.
Yeah.
But because we are very well-versed in the honeybee ecosystem, everything that's very important to the honeybees. We have about 10 state licensed, state certified, what are called apiaries. They are beekeepers here in the Miami Valley. And anytime we go to a house and they think they have, yellow jackets or hornets, people don't take the time to identify it. They just see something buzzing and it's black and yellow,
Right.
and they panic and the alarm sounds. So we're the guy that comes in and facilitates, and we tend to advocate for the honeybees. Why? Because they can't speak for themselves. So I show up at a job. The client already has a can of Raid in their hand, ready to go. They're loaded to the teeth. And I'm like, put that down, please.
Yeah.
These are honeybees. They're not going to hurt you or your family or your house.
Yeah.
Here. And then I provide a list of all these beekeepers, and we get one of them facilitated to come in and do the safe removal and rehoming of them.
Yeah, so they can do that.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
And that is essentially, I'm assuming you don't charge for that. That's just like a referral.
Nope, it is. It's
Literally,
a
that's the
referral.
free bee part.
Yeah, it's free bee. The first bee's always free, but after that, we're going to charge you. So, no, good question.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering. So that's interesting. I didn't know, because that's kind of where my mind went when I heard your name.
Oh, yeah.
So what, I guess this would be a good opportunity to talk about some different services that you provide.
Absolutely. So we're a full-service pest control company. We do ants, spiders, fleas, bed bugs, roaches, mice, termites. We do all the general pest control, and we specialize in stinging insects. So yellow jackets, hornets, honeybees. Last year, just to give you an idea, with the help of all of our beekeeper friends, we saved over 200 swarms of North American honeybees just last spring.
Wow.
Just last season. And we do this year after year because there again, while yes, we're trying to kill the undesirables, our number one job and our number one goal, this is what we're taught by the state of Ohio, is you can use pest control, pesticide, stuff like that to intervene and solve a solution. But the state really trains us and educates us to try and make our carbon footprint as small as possible. You don't want to cause damage. So the number one job is be good stewards of the environment.
Yeah.
Because this is the only planet we live on, so we need to take care of it.
That is true. That is very true. Wow. Well, that's cool. That's great. It sounds like a great amount of different services you guys provide and everything that you do. And that really kind of clears up the whole freebie name.
There you go.
That was interesting. Well, that gets us to your story. So how did you decide you wanted to do this? Like, where did all this come from?
That's a really good question, too. So, like many of us, growing up, my parents always told me to do whatever made me happy and follow my dreams. Well, believe it or not, all those years ago, I never in a million years thought I'd be an exterminator and I'd love doing my job and I'd have this level of job satisfaction. But when I was in high school, the best story I can remember, I had a drafting class, and I was a freshman in high school. I had a drafting class. I'd go in and we'd draw blueprints and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed the technical side of those drawings and drawing with pencil and hand, doing it all by hand. And I had wood shop, oddly, right after that. And I would go into my drafting class, and I found myself drawing blueprints for whatever it was I was going to make.
Where did you go to high school at?
Well, that's funny. I was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio, until I was 12, and then my parents moved me up to that dreaded state up north. And I had to finish.
That's right. You're a Dayton native at heart. Native at heart. And obviously, you're back. So.
And I'm back. Yeah. So they couldn't keep me up there for too long, but my parents moved me up there. So I went to a little high school called Dundee High School in Dundee, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Most people know it because of Cabela's. But when I went there, it was a little 2-stoplight town in the middle of a cornfield.
Okay.
But basically what happened, when I went to high school and I found my love in what I thought I was going to do, I did like my parents said. Once I got done with high school, I had something to prove, because I'll be honest with you, I got my GED, and back then it was frowned upon, and people thought you were stupid and this and that and the other because you didn't finish. I was really honestly just bored. After about 8th grade, I lost all interest in school. Yeah. Well, so there again, it came with that stigma where, unfortunately, my family and everyone looked down on me and thought I was dumb because I didn't complete it. And I said, no, that's not the case. So I went to college. I enrolled myself in college. I got student loans, which I'm still paying on. But I went and I graduated with honors, and I got my associate's degree in architectural design because I thought that's what I really wanted to do in life. And so I was just following my passion like my parents told me to.
Yeah.
I graduated with honors. I got out. I had all this student loan debt, and the economy crashed in like '08. So I couldn't find a job swinging a hammer anywhere. And so like my parents told me that they were very proud of me for following my dreams and going to college and completing it and proving not only to my whole family, but myself that I wasn't an idiot. I graduated with honors, top of my class, but then Dad posed me with a very good question. He said, "What are you going to do to provide for your wife and kids?" And I said, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And so I hopped from job to job, food service, factory work, whatever I could to help my wife raise our 4 kids. And then Dad said, "Why don't you do what you're destined to do?" And that's what leads me into my next part of my story is I'm actually 3rd generation in my family to be an exterminator. I've been around this stuff since I was, pardon the pun, knee high to a grasshopper. And I watched Grandpa do it his whole life. I watched my dad. He's 66 years old this October, and he still does it every day of his life up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So Dad presented me with that question, and then he said, "Hey, you want to be my apprentice? You want to come up here and learn a skilled trade?" And I was like, "Sure." So I left all my other jobs, and I went up to Fort Wayne, and I was an apprentice for my dad for years, and worked for him for years, gained a wealth of knowledge. And then at the time, my wife got a medical job back here in the Dayton area, and I wanted to come back home anyway. So I did. I came back to the Miami Valley, my roots, and that's when she got a job with the medical community, and I was working, odd and end full-time jobs just to help provide for the family. And in any spare time I had, I started putting together the small building blocks to create what is now Bee Pest Control.
Now, is Bee Pest Control is 100% your, I guess, creation of pest control? It's not like a franchise.
Nope.
It's not something that,
Nope. It all started with me. Because, and nothing against any of the competitors here in the Dayton area, but when I first moved back, I knew that I loved pest control so much just from working with my dad at his company that when I came back, I knew I wanted to get back in it some way, somehow. I wanted to get back into pest control. Well, I went and I interviewed with a couple of the other well-known companies here in the Miami Valley, and when I heard like what they were going to pay and everything like that, I was like, I mean, no offense, but I can do bad all on my own. Like, I don't need to sign up for this. And so I asked my wife if she cared if, like, once our bills were paid, if it was okay for me to buy one sprayer or buy one bottle of product or whatever, so that I could slowly start putting those building blocks in place. And she gave me her blessing and said, "Sure, do it." And so I did. Yeah. And that's where it all kind of started. But no, we're not a franchise. We're all publicly owned, 100% by me, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's cool. That's an inspiring and great story.
Yeah.
I'm taken back. That's cool. That's So what did your dad and your grandpa? They were in it. They they didn't own one. They just kind of worked for a company, or
they both worked for one of the more well-known companies here in the Dayton area for a period. And then Grandpa started his own, and he did like the Cincinnati, Dayton, and Columbus markets. My dad, he same thing. My uncles, like a lot of my family on my dad's side of the family, were involved in pest control for many, many years. And Dad currently owns his own company up in Fort Wayne, and that's where I was like, no offense, Dad, if you're listening, but I was like, man, if that old man can do it, I can do this. And Dad always raised me with the philosophy that if it's meant to be, it's up to me, because nobody out there in the world is going to get up and make your dreams happen. You're going to have to chase them.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very true statement right there. I mean, it's all up to you and what you're going to do and you get what you put into it.
That's right.
It's really that simple. And you go back to the basics and you really realize, we make life complicated.
That is true.
You don't necessarily have to make it so complicated.
No, absolutely.
One of the things that I was wanting to ask though was, I know we talked about like a carbon footprint. And whenever I hear that, I hear about environment and like you think about chemicals and spraying and stuff like that with bugs. I know that there's probably been a lot of new things that have developed or, has been not as bad for the environment. But the thing that I always am concerned about is like, what about the guys like you that like you're around it every single day? So it's like, obviously you would want to be an advocate to have a non-harmful chemical around because you would, by consequence, you would have to be breathing it in, right? Because you're applying it. Think about that every day. So like, it's like a risk to you.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
And so do you like, where there's people, because I know there's people out there that are like, oh, they don't care. They just spray whatever. They're just killing or whatever. Like, is there anything you want to say to people where it's like, that's, we're not, trying to kill ourselves.
Yeah, right, right. No, absolutely. Well, and that's a really good question. The state of Ohio teaches us a couple of things. We're all state licensed, state certified, educated by the Ohio Department of Ag and the and OSU. They kind of work hand in hand with each other. But the other thing, we research our products, and there's one sentence in the pest control industry that is probably the most important sentence, and that is the label is the law. So you have to read the label on the product, and you follow the label. They teach us there are these words called signal words, and I'll let you in on a little secret. It's on any bottle of product, pesticide, whatever. I don't even care if you go to Walmart and you pick up a can of Raid. There's a signal word on that label, and it's what it does. That signal word is a cue to you as the pest operator, the level of toxicity to humans and wildlife, environmental impact. So it goes in increasing severity, obviously.
Right.
So we always pay attention to that. One thing with us, all of our products are very close to organic, but you can't call them organic because yes, there is a synthetic products involved in it. But no, that's a really good question. The other thing we do is what is called PPE. OSHA and our regulators, there again, you read the label, it says you wear long sleeves, long pants, gloves, mask, goggles. So if you see us out there looking like we're dressed like a clown, that is because we do care and because we know and realize the hazard of our work, and we accept it because we want to be the guys that come in and help clients with those situations. And I'd rather put myself, a well-educated, state licensed, state certified, fully aware and knowing person versus the general public going to the store and haphazardly causing more harm than good.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not careful with these chemicals, you can really do some damage.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm sure there's stuff where it's like you get it in the water line or if somebody's got a well or whatever it is. It could be a problem. Yeah.
So the number one goal for us to kind of hit on the topic you said about the environment and everything, our number one thing is, first and foremost, we got to be good stewards of the environment.
Right.
So there's always conditions that you can't and you should not be spraying outside, like high winds, don't do it.
Right, yeah, that makes
any
sense.
form of precipitation, if you're near sensitive areas like fish, ponds with fish in it, you really got to think, and you really got to think about doing a good job, not a fast job, not I just want to knock this out. No, you got to have a little bit of integrity about yourself.
Yeah, you want to do a good job and you want to do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, again, just honorable, basic, simple.
Safety first.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, safety first. Well, that brings us to, how does your business contribute to the local community and economy? What are some things you guys do to get involved? I think you were saying sponsoring sports teams and whatnot. Oh,
yeah. Well, it's no big secret to anyone out there that's listening to this program that we live in a fallen world. We live in a world that's full of, sadly, hatred and just awful things. And I remember when I was a kid.
I call it the post-COVID world.
Oh, yeah. Well, the post-COVID world is definitely, it definitely looks a little different to us.
Yeah.
And the one thing I remember is when I was a kid, it was a totally different world. I could stay out all night long, and Mom said, when you got to be home is when the street lights come on.
I was just about to say that.
That was the universal. Yeah, that was universal.
Was.
You be home when the street lights come on, and that's time to be home. Okay.
And my neighbor, I remember they had a bell. And they would ring the bell.
Mom was good at whistling with her fingers in her mouth.
Yeah.
Man, I could hear friends, 2 blocks away.
I had friends like that too. And I always was wondering, I was like, what if you can't hear the bell? They're like, then you're too far. Mm-hmm. Then you're too far.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, so we grew up in a different day and age, and the sad thing is like nowadays kids, I hate to say it, but like, you and I were talking earlier, we go to school, the worst we had was like a bully that'd pick on us and maybe, put his dukes up and fight us on the playground or something. Right. But you still went home at the end of the day. And nowadays it's so scary because these kids go to school and they don't know if there's going to be a school shooting or some craziness that goes on. So for me, giving back to the community is one of the best feelings in the world, because when you've already got your needs met and you're blessed beyond measure and you have an overflow of it, rather than be stingy with it, I love to support our local community and give back to them and help provide maybe a kid that would otherwise not be able to play on the football team or the baseball team. I like sponsoring those kids because it gives them something positive where they can put their phones down, the tablet down, get off the screens, get out there, have some visceral fun with other kids, and not worry about the hectic what we call life. Right. Just for a little bit.
The hustle and the bustle.
Yeah, just enjoy being a kid and kick a ball or throw a ball or whatever. Yeah.
Well, what are some, teams that you sponsor? I know you were saying something about a field.
Oh, yeah. So the Huber Heights Soccer League, we're a field sponsor every year. And we normally have various age groups of kids that we sponsor the teams. Inglewood Little League Baseball, the Diamondbacks Baseball in the Inglewood Union area, Milton Union Girls Softball. This year we did the Castle Hills Swim Club, so the swim team, we sponsored them. And really any other good organization like that where, if you can get out there and just – I know I'm not going to change the whole world, but if I can change one person's world at a time, it's well worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this before. It's not necessarily about changing the whole world, but you can make a pretty cool corner.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's what it is. And if we all do that,
then
it's amazing what the trickle-down effect would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So... But I know that you were telling me about this field that you ended up sponsoring it after COVID.
Oh, yeah.
You were saying. So tell us a little bit more about that, like how that came into play.
Yeah, so when COVID hit, a lot of the small businesses, as we all know, unfortunately went under because they just couldn't bear the lockdowns and everything that happened. Yeah. And I had a good friend of mine that was a client at his personal residence, and he knew and believed in Freebie, and he liked me, and he called me up and said, hey, ever since COVID, we lost all our prime field sponsors, and there in Huber, we got Cloud Park, and that's where they do the soccer. And they said, well, we have to pay the Cloud Park to be on the fields. And I was like, okay. And I really thought about it for a while, and I said, I'll go ahead and do it. And I did the field sponsor for them, and now, like every year, we're the field we're one of them. So if you go to Cloud Park during soccer season in Huber Heights, you'll see signs that say Freebie Field. And we just kind of picked it up because there was a need for the community, and we wanted to help facilitate that.
That's cool. So we got Freebie Field out there. Now, is it bee free?
The first one's free, but after that, I'm going to charge you.
Well, no, I meant is the field actually free of bees?
There may be a few out there, but we let them do their thing because the bees are very important.
Yes, of course. Well, what's some of the things that sets your business apart from others in the area?
Well, that's a really good question. Besides the fact earlier, like you said, we don't do any firm contracts and lock people in. We want to be the company that you are happy to see and you want the service. Yeah. Not, oh man, it's time for the bug man again. I'm obligated to this. I signed up. And no, because if we don't check all the boxes for you, I'd rather help you find a company that does than to obligate you and twist your arm to stay with us. We do a couple of things different. Number one, unlike these other companies that'll roll up and they'll have a several 100-gallon vat of product that they mixed up God knows when, could be 2 weeks ago. Yeah. We do our mixes in small batches at our client's house per job. So you're getting
nice.
the optimal freshness of product. Yeah, you're getting it mixed up right there on your front lawn.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two thing we do what is called product rotation. So a lot of companies find the cheapest product that provides results, and that's kind of their go-to. We don't cut the expenses for our clients. We actually spend lots of money to provide our clients with the best products on the market out there. So what we do, product rotation is where we all know that insects over time can develop chemical resistance to certain products, and they can develop immunities to it. So number one, we switch the product based on the time of year and what is more geared for that time of year, first of all. Second of all, we switch the product, reason why it keeps the bugs always guessing.
Yeah.
I use a different product in the summer than I do in the spring, and I use a different product in the fall than I do in the summer.
Yeah.
Because the different pests that kind of rise to the top, you need to be able to dial in with them with the best product that you can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Switch it up, change the game up. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool. That's good. That's good to know. I didn't know that because that makes a lot of sense, but it also makes sense why some of these other guys wouldn't do it. Because of cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that I feel like our passion is what really sets us apart from other people, because look, we've all we've all had those door knockers from XYZ Pest Company, and let's be real, those people don't really care about the quality of the service. What do they care about? They care about the sale at that door. That's all they care about. They're smooth talking. A young man or woman, they come up, they interrupt your dinner time by knocking on the door and trying to provide you a service they know very little, if anything, about, and all they care about is you signing on the dotted line. Whereas us, we believe in taking care of our people, and most important golden rule that everyone knows and loves is treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right. Yeah, it's real, again, basic, simple, direct and honest. And
I gotta tell you this, because this is great. Ever since COVID, and I even tell my guys that ever since COVID, customer service, and we all know, all you listeners out there know that customer service has gone in the toilet ever since COVID. It's like people in the service-related industry just don't seem to be able to connect the dots and get the stuff done anymore.
Yeah.
And so I told the guys, it's super easy to soar like eagles when you're surrounded by a bunch of turkeys.
Yeah, it's true.
That is so very true. So it's like we always try to be the gem. The other thing I told you, I'm a big nerd for acronyms.
Yeah.
Well, GEM to us, and how appropriate because we're in the Gem City, but GEM is an acronym to me. It means go the extra mile for every single client, every single time.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great, that's a great gym to have.
It is. It is.
Pun intended.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about some success you've had, some recent milestones that you've hit, something that you've done or your company's done that you're really proud of.
Well, I definitely have to say, when we first started, even when I was an apprentice at my father's company, the only process we had for eliminating bed bugs back then, way back when, was the liquid treatments, which they can still be effective if given you're using the right product, you're not getting interference from your tenant or your clients.
Yeah. Well, before you start talking about that, let's talk about how an important bed bug, I guess you could say, extermination is, because where we're located.
Oh yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize, like, compared to like other places in the country.
Oh yeah.
How Dayton, Cincinnati, and
Ranks.
Columbus are in the rankings. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well,
this is a real thing year after year.
Oh, it is.
For the last 20 years, it's been this way.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny that you would ask about that because, bed bug problems in the Miami Valley, I'm sorry to say this to all you listeners out there, but it's not getting any better. It's getting worse in the Miami Valley, and there's a couple contributing factors that I'll go over that OSU teaches us when we go to recertification every year.
Yeah.
They tell us that, number one, the state of Ohio, as much as I love it here, the state of Ohio is the number one infested state in the United States of America. Why? Because all of our 5 major metropolitan areas, and you're talking Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo, and Akron, they're all heavily infested with bed bugs. And even though us exterminators are out here doing our best to fight the good fight, it's a losing battle because we'll go in and we'll treat a house, clear one household of them, and 5 others will get them. Around the community. But the thing with bed bugs is that the biggest thing there is trying to stay ahead of them, because they do get chemical resistance very easily, and you can have much bigger problems. The other thing is, and this is directly from OSU, they said the number one main reason for the spread and the increase of spread in bed bugs in Ohio. Number one, we all know this, us Buckeyes, we are all very sociable people.
Yeah.
We go to gatherings a lot. We hang out with each other. We socialize a lot. And so that helps to spread, because bed bugs are a parasite spread by people and their belongings. But
Right.
the other thing that OSU said, and this is probably the most kind of frightening, if you will, is bed bugs is such a taboo subject that nobody talks about it. Mm-hmm. So when you don't talk about it,
it's hard to prevent it.
it's hard to prevent it, because everyone's so ashamed of it. And I want to say something to all the listeners out there, just to help any of you, whether you've had a bed bug problem or not. I want to say, don't be ashamed if you have bed bugs. Don't be ashamed to talk about it. I'm going to tell you why. Are you ashamed when you get bit by a mosquito?
Right.
They're a blood-sucking parasite, no different than bed bugs, okay?
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is talk to someone. Look, you're getting all itchy over there.
No, I just moved my arm. My arm's getting a little numb, but yeah. No. It's funny that you say that. I agree, and it's, with the business I'm in, which is furniture. Obviously, I get the stories like, "Oh, I need a new mattress because I got bed bugs." Mm-hmm. Well, first off, my delivery company, if they see any signs of bed bugs, they're also a moving company, so they're very good at identifying. Mm-hmm. They halt and stop right then and there, and they do not put anything in the trucks at all. So they won't even move you or touch anything like that, which honestly would probably be a good referral.
Yeah. Yeah,
now
definitely.
thinking about it. But we'll talk about that off the air.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it doesn't. They don't. I think a lot of people associate with class. It's like, oh, I must be low income, or must be, it's kind of trashy or whatever. And it's the truth of nature is, bed bugs, they don't care. They don't know. They don't look at Lay and they're like, oh, that guy's a affluent individual. We're not going to go to that house. No, they have no mercy. And I mean, it's as simple as somebody has a house party and they put their jacket on the bed, and everyone puts their jacket on the bed because it's it's cold out, and then boom, everyone's got bed bugs.
Yep.
So it's crazy how simple it can happen. Mm-hmm. If I were to think about it every night, I probably have nightmares. Owning a furniture store.
Yeah. Oh,
but I do have treatments that we have, but to help prevent. So if someone does, you always get lone travelers too sometimes.
Right.
So, but luckily nobody lives here, so that's always a big plus.
That is a plus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But these suckers can live. How long do they say?
A minimum 12 months without a blood meal.
Yeah,
and
which
still
is
survive.
Unbelievable to think about.
It really is.
A whole year without eating.
Yeah, I wish I could do that, but no.
Me too.
They have a lot of kind of really scary abilities about them, and the saddest part is, like, even the government. You remember years ago, it was all over the news, all over the headlines, and they don't really talk about it anymore. And the reason why, and there again, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. Bed bugs are at an epidemic level, but the reason the government doesn't sound the alarm is because they don't transmit any bloodborne pathogens. Think about any time they find a pocket of mosquitoes that has Zika virus or West Nile. They sound the alarms and alert the public. But bed bugs don't transmit anything, so they pretty much go untalked about. Yeah, they pretty much go silent because it's taboo, and it comes with such a social stigma. It's kind of like, there again, back in the day, you get head lice or something. You get head lice. Well, you don't want to talk about it because you don't want the shame and disapproval of your friends and your neighbors and everything like that. So it makes you have this social stigma about to where you don't want to talk about it. Yeah. But in reality, we as a human race, we need to talk about it, and say, hey, look, I got bed bugs. You can come over if you want, but just, I want you to know, and they're at your own risk, and then let people decide, because sadly, I've seen families destroyed by bed bugs, not because of the physical insect, but because one of the elders will have them. They'll come over for a family holiday festivity like you were talking about. They won't tell anybody, and they spread them to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild to think about.
It really is.
Why don't you let's just talk about this. Let's address the situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is interesting how, like
It
you
is.
said, people are ashamed and
Yeah.
it just keeps.
But you hit the nail on the head. I mean, bed bugs don't discriminate.
Yeah.
I've treated doctors and lawyers' houses that have marble floors that you could literally eat off of, and they still get them just because they come into contact with people that may have them.
Yeah, that's just the way it works, and people just need to realize that it is what it is, and
It is.
you kind of move forward with it.
It really is, and it's kind of like you were saying, an ounce of prevention is really worth a pound of cure for these guys, because you can do proactive services. We do proactive services for a lot of people, and the nice thing about that is, there again, the products we use and we spray your house with proactively, it'll kill a bed bug, but the cool thing is all the products we use are what are called broad spectrum label.
Yeah.
So that means, hey, this product will say, it's designed, formulated, and made and mixed and everything in the strength to kill a bed bug, but it'll kill up to 60 other species of insects while we're at it.
Yeah.
So it's going to help you with a lot of different things. So an ounce of prevention is definitely worth a pound of cure, and it's a lot cheaper. If you wait till you got a full-blown infestation, bed bug treatments can get very pricey.
So it's interesting because we have like a mattress protector that is bed bug proof because it's sealed off, and the people that have had bed bugs are like, sign me up. The people that haven't though, they're like, I don't need that. And I always look at them. I'm like, look, here's the deal. Nobody plans on getting bed bugs.
That's right.
It just happens. So, this is just a preventative measure hey, I don't have to buy this new mattress again. So, I mean, if you're buying a nice, fancy, new, expensive mattress, don't you want to protect that in case something were to happen?
Yeah, no,
it's
exactly.
a cheap insurance policy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but anyway, enough with that. I just can relate totally because we do have a little bit of an alignment there with as far as on the professional business level.
Absolutely.
But talk about the I guess you could say the evolution of the bed bug solution that you've had going on, because you told me originally it started with spraying, but now where it's at today. And and that process took, you said, a long time. So,
it took years to build it up, and that's probably one of our biggest success stories, if you will, was when I first started doing bed bug treatments in the Miami Valley, over a decade ago. It was what you call the spray and pray method, and that's where you keep spraying every 2 weeks till there's no more live bed bugs, and it can be effective. The preparation is grueling. It's a pain in the you-know-what, and so we were like, we reached out to a lot of our clients, and we ask our clients all the time, how can we improve? How can we make this a better situation, a better service? And everyone was like, man, I'd love it if you could do heat. And so that got my gears turning in my head, and I said, I got to figure out how I can bring heat to the clients. Well, I found this place out in Arizona, of all places, out in the middle of the desert, called Bedbug University, and they teach you everything from the life cycle to the breeding, the mating habits, the feeding properties, all that, the products used to kill them. And they taught me how to harness the power of electric heaters. Now, these heaters that we use, I mean, they put out substantially more heat energy than like your average space heater. So it's like, I tell people, it's like a space heater on steroids, but they are designed to kill bed bugs. That is their only purpose and function on this earth. And then we have a series of fans. And so what I did was I went to the training in Arizona. I got certified in heat treat for bed bugs, and I bought at the time, their most basic package was an electric bed bug heater and 3 or 4 fans. And it could handle basically one bedroom, 10 by 10, 12 by 12 with 8-foot ceilings. You could knock it out in one day, because the electric heaters worked on the principle of think pressure cooker, think crock pot versus air fryer. Okay, the crock pot mentality it was a low and slow to get the heat up to fatal, which, in case anyone doesn't know, fatal temperatures for bed bugs is right around 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
So you basically baked the room to 120.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
So scientists have found that bed bugs, all 5 stages, from the unhatched eggs all the way to the full-grown adults, they cannot tolerate temps of 120 degrees Fahrenheit for longer than about 90 minutes. 90 minutes exposed to those temperatures, it'll cook the eggs that haven't even hatched. It will cook them over easy. And then mom and dad will sit there and die too. So it really helps you to gain control much faster than any sprays out there, because, I mean, you figure you let it run 90 minutes above 120, And you go in and kind of flip the mattress, open the dresser drawers, the closets, to expose those what are called harborage sites where the bed bugs like to hide because they're masters at hiding. So anyway, back to what I was saying as far as the evolution of our treatments. We started with the liquid treatment, which, we could still gain control and it was effective. But it was a 6 to 8 week long process where these clients, I had to look them in the face and tell them, hey, your place is sprayed, give it a drying time before you go back in. And by the way, you get to be the bait. And they're like, what? And I said, you get to be the bait because bed bugs are drawn to us humans by our CO2, what we exhale. So when you sit on the couch or you lay in the bed and you're just sitting there laying, sleeping, breathing, that's how the bed bugs zero in on you. And then once they find you, that's when they begin to feed on you. So the 6 to 8 week long process and telling a client that you have to be the bait that lures the bugs out to cross the product for them to die was not the most wonderful conversation that I ever had to have, but it needed to be had. And we turned around a lot of jobs that way.
It's a reality.
It really is. And then the heat made it nice because I'll give you a good example. Let's say any 3-bed, 2-bath house, single story, doing the liquid treatments. It would take me 6 to 8 weeks to turn around the entire process and make them bed bug free for the time being. Well, heat, once I went and learned how to do the electric heaters, I could section up the house with like visqueen plastic or do one room at a time, make it more achievable and smaller square footage to heat up. And I could do a whole 3-bed, 2-bath house in a weekend versus 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, then I was like, okay, that's cool, and we're getting good result out of it. Now, what can I do to jump it to the next level for my clients, to go even bigger? Because I'm all about, if you're going to do a job, do it right. And
of course.
Go big or go home. So I started researching and looking into it, and I found a company that makes these big, huge propane heaters. And so I got a couple of those, and I researched it, and I did a lot of studying and reading on how to safely operate them. And so basically the evolution of the bed bug treatment went from 6 to 8 week spray and pray method to electric bed bug heat treatment, shortened it down to 3 to 4 day long process for your average home. And then when we got the bed bug heater, the propane ones, one of our heaters puts out 1 million BTUs an hour. So that's the equivalent of 2 home furnaces running wide open, full speed all day.
Wow.
So I bring that thing out and I can do a whole house, 1,500 square foot home, every bedroom. I can do it in 1 day.
Wow.
And I come in and heat up the whole entire structure and cook them all.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the evolution of where it's come from.
Now, have you ever been in the house when it's 120 degrees?
Oh, many times.
And it's crazy.
It is. It's disrespectful. As soon as you walk in a house and it's that hot, you just immediately feel disrespected because it's awful. It is. I'm not going to lie. And over the years of doing the whole house heat treatments, because part of our treatment is we do go in.
Yeah.
We take turns. Normally there's always 2 technicians on any job site for safety. Because if anyone is over encumbered by the heat, we need to have a backup plan to get them out to where they're safe. But normally what we do, say I'm heating up your house, I go in about every 10, 15 minutes. I do temp checks, surface temperature checks of the couches, the mattress. I may flip your mattress, flip the couch, open the closet, open the dresser. We affectionately call it fluffing your house.
Yeah.
Why? It's no different than a hot summer day and you lay in your bed. We all are familiar with that cool side of the pillow. When you flip it over, it's automatically cooler because it was hidden from the air molecules that are warmer around it. So when you flip it over, that side of the pillow is cool. Well, guess what? Bed bugs are smart enough during a heat treat. Yeah. They will run to try and find the cool side of the pillow as well. Yeah. So we go in and flip it, fluff it, disrupt the house to uncover any of those pockets of bed bugs.
Now, do you see them? You get them right then and there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When you see them in a heat treat, it's actually kind of amazing. We call it the death dance. So what it is...
They're moving around.
Oh, man. You go in there, and the moment you flip the pillow, and they're all hiding under the pillow to get away from 130 degrees, and you flip that pillow, man, they scatter everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere. And they'll only wiggle around for maybe 30 seconds, and then they stop moving. Yeah. They're done.
So you don't even have to spray them.
You don't have to, but we do anyway. That's another thing that kind of sets us apart from other companies that even do offer heat. Is any of our clients that go with us for heat treatment, we include a one-time bed bug concentrate spray at no additional cost. Why? Because I don't believe in doing just a standalone heat treat, and I'll tell you why. As effective as heat is and can be in bed bug eradication, there's always room for variables beyond anyone's control, and it can make the treatment less than perfect, if you will. So what we do, if you go with our heat treatment, we include that. Why? Because just on the off chance that there's a straggler that got missed, or one that hid under the baseboard, or whatever the case may be. Because here's the reality. Once you shut the heater down and pack up all the equipment, your protection is gone as well.
Right.
Whereas
but if
the
you
liquid
do the spray,
spray,
it gives you that linger.
you've got
extra.
a lingering residual that'll last minimum 28 to 30 days.
Right.
So.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. So, no, I think they're fascinating with bed bugs, what they can do, and how they're really adaptive and all that. And the heat, I always heard the heat does do, is the best way to go. But it's also kind of the hardest to do to get the house to actually heat up at that temperature, especially in the wintertime, I would imagine.
Yeah, we definitely have methods in the winter, and I'll tell you, it's funny you bring that up because we've learned over years of doing these. I would much rather do a bed bug heat treat in like 0 degree weather, snow on the ground, versus a 90-degree day. Yeah, because we've done both. We do these heat treatments year round, and I found that like in the wintertime, it kind of stinks because you sit outside the majority of the day in a parka and gloves and everything because it's freezing cold outside. But we do a couple of things. Number one, to help make the heating process a little easier, we recirculate the hot air. So like when we're pumping the hot air in the building, we'll borrow a little bit of it from there and recirculate it back in the heater. Why? Because it's easier to heat up 100-degree air versus 20-degree air fresh from the outside. So we do that, and then the other thing is we find that like it's so nice when you go in an environment that's 130, 140 degrees Fahrenheit to do the flipping and fluffing. And then when you come outside and your head's steaming, your whole body is steaming because you just literally came out of a convection oven. Whereas during the summer, it gets a little bit more dangerous because
you're going back into the hot again.
Yeah, you go into the hot house at 130, 140. You come outside, it's 90. I'm going to tell you right now, when it's 140 in a house and you come out to 90 feels like air conditioning.
Yeah,
but you're still being dehydrated.
Yeah, you're still at 90.
Yeah, you're still at 90 degrees. So water. You got to stay hydrated on those jobs, and you got to take turns and have a buddy system, like I said, because I even tell my guys, like, if you're in there longer than 10 minutes, I'm coming and I'm coming looking for you.
Yeah, I've never been in a place like 120 or 130, but in Savannah, when I learned this furniture business, we worked in a metal tin building, and it would get to 110, and we could handle it. Like you could sit here like how we are right now, just relaxing. But the second like it was go time, we had to load a customer and move.
Sweat
Waterworks.
bucket.
Oh yeah, it was unreal.
But
just staying there stagnant, I was good. Moving, forget about it.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable when you go in there. But there again, my biggest thing with helping clients with this situation is I love when you. For me, yes, there again, we're in business to make money, of course, but I think the biggest reward and job satisfaction is when we go back for like a 2-week follow-up after a bed bug heat treatment, and the people's skin are clearing up and they look well rested, and they're not, you can visibly see the relief on their face, and that is the biggest.
That's the reward.
That is the reward at the end of it.
That's cool. That's really cool. What's some challenges you faced as a small business owner or leader in the community?
Well, that's a really good question. Couple of things here in the Dayton area. Number one, if you search pest control Dayton, Ohio, the market saturation is huge. The reason why, there's a few good companies out there, and then you got the big billion-dollar companies. We all know the big O and the big T. But then you have these other companies that are fly-by-night companies that just see a get-rich-quick scheme, and they're normally the same guys that door knock you and cold call solicit you, the unwarranted solicitation. It's normally those guys, and those are the franchises, and those are the fly-by-nights that have a base of operation in Dallas, Texas, but they want to really capitalize on the Buckeye State too. So for the average consumer, and for us, one uphill climb is there's so many. There's 20 plus pest companies in the Dayton area. So the market saturation can be a little tough sometimes, not only for us pest operators, but also for you consumers at home that are trying to find a qualified person. Like, who do I pick out of 20 plus exterminating companies? So you really got to do your research and read up on people. Check the references, check the Better Business Bureau. We're accredited with them, and we got an outstanding record. But do your homework when you go to find a pest control person. And the other the other challenges, obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, most people know the world hasn't been exactly normal for a little while. So first was COVID and the lockdowns and the government trying to determine if we were an essential service or if we could sit at home. That was a challenge, but we pushed through it. We forged through it. We practiced precautions. We tried to not get up in people's faces. We developed a more contactless way of being able to do it because the mother of invention is necessity. And I feel like when COVID hit, we had to kind of roll with the punches and get out there and still do our job, but find a way to maybe look at it through a different lens. So that was one. But there again, another thing my dad taught me about the pest control industry is that it's not recession proof. There's no job out there that I can think of that is recession proof. But pest control is recession resistant. Why? Because even people in the toughest times, they still don't want to live with bugs, disease-carrying insects and rodents and vermins in their house. Because especially when you're going through tough times economically, I found that people will find a way to scrounge up the money so they can have whatever little bit of sanity as far as the insect and the rodent kingdom that they can.
Right.
And that's where us as one of the good local companies, like, look, we get it. We understand. We're going through the same economic hardships you are, just on a bigger scale because we're a small business. So we feel the impact just like you do. It's even bigger and more detrimental to us. So that's where we just kind of learn to under promise and over deliver for the public, because here's the thing: if you do that, good news will spread. Sometimes you got to kind of kick it to get it going, but
that's true.
Unfortunately, bad news spreads faster than good. But I feel like there again, whatever you put out in the environment and you put out in the universe, I'm a firm believer in karma. It always ends up circling back around, and you get what you put in it.
Yeah. I think it's a good philosophy, a good way to look at it. And I'm a big believer of what goes around comes around. There's definitely some sort of system. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it's there.
It is definitely there.
I've seen enough evidence to know that's there.
That's for sure.
Well, how do you collaborate with some other businesses here in the local area in Dayton?
Well, that's a great question. We do some partnerships, like we have, and a lot of this came from like business networking groups where you meet other people, and you may run into like an HVAC guy that says, "Hey, when I'm in there changing the furnace filters, I always see mouse droppings," or something like, or I'm in there doing the furnace filters and I see roaches crawling around. So I collaborate with a lot of those other home services that are in there, and they may have eyes and ears, and vice versa. We turn around and give work back to those people as well, where I'll be in there doing a mouse inspection. I see their furnace filter looks like it hasn't been changed in 20 years.
Right.
I'll say, hey, you should call XYZ HVAC company. So we do a lot of that. The other thing is, like, we try to get involved with other companies that are donating or volunteering for something that's near and dear to our heart as well. So like community activism, getting out there with other companies, and we'll do like trunk or treat for the kids, and in right around Halloween time we'll do that, or we'll do a Christmas drive, or get with another company. We got with one company, 6 months or a year ago. There was a disabled veteran that got a house. And we went in with a couple of other service industry related companies, and we basically provided like extremely discounted service. It wasn't free, but it was extremely discounted because this woman was a combat warrior Wounded Warrior Project, kind of one of those things. Okay. And so we kind of collabed with these other companies and volunteered, hey, I'll do this at a drastically reduced rate. I'll take care of your ants and spiders and your mice or whatever. And then the other companies kind of pitched in theirs as well. So it was kind of like a care package for that Wounded Warrior. But like I said, trunk or treat, other sponsorship activities, extracurriculars for kids, anything we can do to kind of just help breathe some goodness into the Miami Valley.
Yeah. I've done we do a trunk or treat here.
Oh, awesome.
And we collaborate with Papa John's and LA Tan.
Oh, yeah.
So all three of us do it, and then we try to get other people we know to join in.
Absolutely.
It's not harder you think to get people to join in.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
But at least we got us three core guys do it. I set up 4 booths, so at least people feel like they're getting, not gypped if they're coming out.
Yeah, right.
So there's 4. They get 4 candy stations from us. Papa does 1. They do 1. So we got at least a minimum of 6. And normally we have like 3 or 4 other people that show up. So we'll have about 10 different candy stations.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's crazy. The last 2 years we've had over 200 plus kids.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's good.
Pretty wild. What's some initiatives and projects you got going on currently? What's getting you going? What's anything you're excited about, I should say?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's always business as usual first and foremost, but we're building for ongoing success for the company. Obviously, we're always hiring, looking for good talent, young people that want to learn a skilled trade. Most people don't think of an exterminator as a long-term skilled trade, but it definitely is, because there's a lot of technical information that is encompassed in your job. And not just everyone can do it. It's not for the faint of heart. Some of the houses I go into are not the greatest. We'll just say that. But we're excited about building further service options. One thing we do, we listen to our clients a lot. I'll give you a good example. So we got a client management system. Years ago, I did like a broad survey of clients, both past, present, future. And I just asked them, if there's something we could do. And back then we were doing paper and pencil invoices and work orders, and everything like that was just paper and pencil, like the old day with Dad and Grandpa. Well, now we got all this technology at our fingertips. And I asked people, what would you like to see us improve on if we could? And they said, well, if you could do digital invoices and estimates and have a secure online payment portal and online email and text message appointment confirmations like you get at the doctor's office. So we invested the money in the company for our clients, and we got a client management system that allows us to do all of that.
Oh, wow.
That they asked for.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing that I love, and the overwhelming support of the community and our clients that have reached out and said, man, your new software is awesome. I love it. It makes the investment in that so much more worthwhile, because the positive feedback we get from the people, our clients. The other thing is just other service options. Like I've asked people, like if there was a service we don't offer that you would really like, what would that be? And I'll research it and I'll look into it. We've had people that have been on our case about you need to get in termite work. So now we have our termite license, and we are getting equipment to be able to do full service termite jobs. We've also had people that are asking us about mosquito spray during the summer months when people are outside and they want to enjoy their yard a little bit more. So I'm dabbling in looking into mosquito foggers and sprayers and the products that are best used for mosquito companies and mosquito abatement and stuff like that. So we have another offering for someone. It doesn't mean that you're going to want or need all the bells or whistles, but if we can try to make sure we have the bells and whistles available, so if you ever do want them, they're available.
Right. Yeah. No, that's cool. So of course, having more offerings, expanding, growing. There's always something that you can move on to the next. Like I've seen some of these places pop up, like you said. So especially the mosquito places. I know that my one buddy, especially if you're having a party and you got issues, you're going to want to at least get it sprayed for the party.
You're right. Right. Absolutely.
So, if you got a backyard but you can't enjoy it because you got mosquitoes.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
That's a whole nother game. So, No, that's cool that you got all those. You got some new, different services, and that's always exciting because that's new clientele and new people to meet.
Absolutely.
Well, that brings us to our. How do we get a hold of you? What's the best way if somebody wants to reach out to get your services? What would you recommend that they do?
Well, that's a great question. We have a lot of different ways. You can always call our office anytime. We normally our quote unquote business hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but you can call or text anytime, day or night. As a business owner, I don't have much of a social life, so I sit around just waiting for the phone to ring or the text to go off. But our main office line is 937-242-6170. Or you can reach out on our website. We do have a form fill on our website, which is freebeepestcontrol.com. And you can go on there and any of the pages, whether it's the ant page, the rodent page, the bedbug page, whatever, there's a form that you can fill out, and you put your name, your email, and I think like your target pest, and it will come right to the internal email, and then we'll know to reach out and contact you and see what we can do.
Okay. And do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, we do have a company Facebook page, and any of you listeners out there, whether you've used us or not, definitely we'd love it if you'd like our page, share our page, tell your friends and family about us, and just give us a shot.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Good local source. Mm-hmm. Dayton native.
That's right.
That's
Dayton
right.
native.
Dayton approved.
Yes.
Well, are there any words of wisdom? The last one I always kind of summarize as like words of wisdom. I know you kind of already told us some of it or some already that you live by, like kind of a good send off. Mm-hmm. Anything that you want to leave the audience with? Absolutely.
I always try to, lead each day with one small positive thought. And I know sometimes it can be hard, especially with outside sources and all the outside noise in the world that we all deal with on a daily basis. But I try to start my day off with one positive thought every day, because just one small positive thought can change the whole outcome of your entire day. And the other firm belief I have, and thanks, Dad, this goes to him, anything you want in this world, you can have it. But you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to work hard, because there's no free rides in this world. And Dad always told me, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Yeah. And that resonates with me a lot, because nobody built this for me except me. Mm-hmm. And you can do anything, seriously. You can do anything you want in this world. You just have to be willing to grind it out and burn the midnight oil when other people are ready to put it up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
Cool. Well, Eric, it was a pleasure meeting you. It's
Likewise.
a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful that you were able to come out this
Absolutely.
morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Until next time.
Yes, sir.
And follow to our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to sign up for our email list and receive an email to watch the show. Wednesday at 8 a.m. Do you know a great Dayton business that you would like to see on the show? Visit our website at DaytonApproved.com and click on the Contact tab and tell us who you'd like to see.